At 18, I married my rapist. I'm now 33 and finally had the courage to tell my family. When I finally opened my mouth at the dinner table and said, I married my rapist, the room went dead silent. The sound of forks against plates stopped. My mom's face drained of color. My dad froze with his hand on his glass, and my little sister looked like she couldn't breathe. I didn't plan to say it like that. I didn't plan to say it at all, honestly. But the words slipped out, raw and heavy, and once they were hanging in the air, there was no way to pull them back. Then my mom whispered, barely audible, "What did you just say?" And I said it again, louder this time, though my throat burned. At 18, I married the man who raped me, and I've been hiding it for 15 years. My dad stood up so fast his chair toppled backward, crashing into the wall. My sister gasped like she'd been punched. I thought maybe my mom would faint. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, my phone buzzed on the table. It was a text message. From him. I hadn't heard from him in months. I didn't even know he still had my number. The message said, "You weren't supposed to tell them." How did it get this far? How did I end up living in a marriage that should never have happened, lying to everyone I love for half my life? To explain, I have to go back. I was 18, young, naive, desperate to get out of my small town. He was older, charismatic, the kind of man who made everyone laugh, the one adults trusted and teenagers wanted to be around. I trusted him too, until the night I shouldn't have. I remember it too clearly, though sometimes I wish I could erase it. He offered me a ride home after a graduation party. I'd been drinking, not much, but enough to feel dizzy. I thought it was kindness when he said he'd make sure I got home safe. Instead, he drove me somewhere else. A dark stretch of road, an empty parking lot behind a church. I froze. I remember saying no. I remember pushing at his hands, but he was stronger. And when it was over, I felt hollow, like my soul had been scraped out of my body. I thought that would be the end of it, that I could try to pretend it didn't happen. But the very next day, he showed up at my parents' house, smiling, charming, like nothing had happened. He talked to my dad about sports, complimented my mom's cooking, asked me to go for a walk. I wanted to scream, but I stayed quiet. Because when I looked at my parents' faces, I saw how much they liked him, how much they trusted him, and I was too scared to shatter that image. Weeks later, when I found out I was pregnant, everything collapsed. I thought my parents would help me. I thought they'd be angry at him. Instead, they said the words that sealed my fate. The right thing to do is get married. And just like that, I was trapped. At 18 years old, I stood in a white dress, shaking, while he smiled beside me and everyone clapped. No one knew what really happened. They thought it was a young love story. They thought he was saving me from shame. The truth was, he was locking me into it forever. For years, I convinced myself I had to play along, that survival meant silence, that as long as I didn't resist, maybe he wouldn't hurt me worse. My parents never asked questions. They never wondered why I seemed so withdrawn, why I flinched when he touched me in public. But living like that eats away at you. I lost myself piece by piece until I didn't even recognize the person in the mirror. It took me 15 years to finally break. And now, here I was, 33 years old, staring across the dinner table at the people I'd lied to for half my life, telling them the truth they should have known years ago. My mom started crying. My dad demanded names, details, anger spilling out of him like lava. My sister looked at me like I was a stranger. And then my phone buzzed again. Another text. This time it wasn't just words. It was a picture. A picture of my family's house, taken from outside the window. Taken tonight. The picture on my phone made my blood run cold. It was my parents' house, my parents' living room window, and the lights inside were on, just like they were right now, meaning it had been taken tonight. My fork clattered onto my plate. "What is it?" my mom asked, her voice small and trembling. I couldn't speak. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped the phone. My dad picked it up, and when he saw the photo, his face twisted with rage. "What the hell is this?" he barked, his voice louder than I'd ever heard. My mom's hand flew to her mouth. My little sister scooted her chair back, eyes darting toward the curtains like she expected to see a shadow outside. And that's when I realized he's watching us. He wasn't just sending threats from a distance. He was out there, somewhere near the house, maybe in the yard, maybe closer. "Everyone stay away from the windows," my dad ordered, his voice sharp and controlled now, though I could see his hands trembling. "Don't move." He grabbed his phone and started to dial, but I lunged forward and caught his arm. "No," I hissed. "You don't understand. If you call the police, he'll know. He'll get angrier." My dad looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "He's outside the damn house, and you don't want me to call the police?" I pressed my hands to my temples. My heart was hammering. Years of silence had trained me to protect him, to protect myself by protecting him, to never make him mad. My brain was screaming one thing, my body another. "Please, just wait," I whispered. The air in the room was suffocating. My mom's sobs filled the silence. My little sister whispered, "Is he going to hurt us?" I couldn't answer her, because the truth was, I didn't know. Hours earlier, I never thought tonight would end like this. When I decided to finally tell my family, I thought the hard part would be the words leaving my mouth. The shame, the judgment, the years of silence breaking all at once. But this was worse. This was him reminding me he still had power, that no matter how far I thought I'd come, he could drag me back in with a single message. My dad yanked the curtains shut and locked the doors, pacing like a caged animal. "We're not sitting here doing nothing. If this bastard wants a fight, he'll get one." "No, Dad," I whispered, my throat tight. "You don't understand. He doesn't stop. He doesn't back down. He'll make you pay." My mom finally spoke, voice shaking. "He already made you pay." Her eyes were red, her face pale. She looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. "And we let him. We stood by and let him." The weight of her words crashed over me. All those years I begged with my silence, waiting for someone to see. And now, when it was too late, they finally did. The phone buzzed again. All of us froze. This time, the message was just 4 words. "Check the basement door." I felt the room tilt. My stomach dropped. The basement, the one place in this house that always gave me chills as a kid. The door that led outside, never used, always locked. The sight of the basement door cracked open made me feel like I was 18 again. Frozen, helpless, waiting for the sound of heavy footsteps behind me. "No," I whispered, shaking my head. "He wouldn't." But of course he would. My dad pressed a finger to his lips, gripping the flashlight like a weapon. He nudged the door open with his foot. The old hinges groaned. A rush of cold, damp air drifted up from the basement. My mom whimpered. My little sister clutched her arms so tightly her knuckles turned white. "Stay here," my dad muttered. But I couldn't let him go alone. Something in me snapped. Maybe rage, maybe old survival instincts, but I grabbed the broom leaning against the wall and followed him down the steps. Every creak of the wooden stairs echoed like a gunshot. The air smelled of mildew, dust, and something metallic I couldn't place. My heart was beating so hard I thought it would burst. We reached the bottom. My dad swept the flashlight across the room. At first it looked normal, just boxes, shelves, an old washer and dryer. Then the beam landed on the far wall. And that's when I saw it. A chair, placed right in the middle of the basement floor, facing the stairs, like someone had been sitting there, waiting. I gripped the broom tighter, my palms slick with sweat. "Dad," I whispered. "He was here." The phone buzzed again in my pocket. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped it. A new message. "Nice family reunion. Cute pajamas." My blood turned to ice. He had seen us, tonight, inside the house, watching. My dad's jaw clenched. He stormed across the basement, shining the flashlight in every corner, behind every box. "Coward," he roared. His voice cracked with fury. "Come out, you son of a..." "Dad, stop," I hissed. Panic clawed at my throat. "He's not down here anymore." The truth was worse. He had been here, sitting in that chair, close enough to hear us, maybe close enough to touch us if we came down sooner. And now he was gone, leaving nothing but the reminder that he could come back anytime. We retreated upstairs, slamming the door shut and locking it. My mom was crying openly now. My sister was pale, shaking. "This ends tonight," my dad growled. "I'm calling the police." And this time, I didn't stop him. He dialed with trembling fingers, pacing as he explained what happened. A patrol car was dispatched. They told us to stay inside, all lights on, doors locked. For a brief moment, I felt a flicker of hope. Finally, someone else was involved. Finally, it wasn't just me carrying this nightmare. But when the cops arrived, everything unraveled again. They searched the basement. They looked around the yard. They found no footprints, no fingerprints, no forced entry. Nothing. but an unlocked door and a dusty old chair. One officer pulled my dad aside, speaking in a low voice I wasn't supposed to hear. Could be a prank or a misunderstanding. Happens all the time when emotions are high. Prank? Misunderstanding? My chest tightened. My stomach lurched. For 15 years, no one had believed me. Not really. And now, even with proof, even with him watching us, it was happening again. I snapped. It's not a misunderstanding, I shouted. My voice cracked, tears blurring my vision. He was here. He was in this house. He's been hurting me since I was a teenager, and now he's threatening my family, and you're telling me it's a prank? The room went silent. My family stared at me. The officers shifted uncomfortably, their faces unreadable. And then my phone buzzed again. I didn't want to look. Every cell in my body screamed not to, but I did. This time, it wasn't just a message. It was a video. Shaky, blurry, filmed through a window. It showed my little sister's bedroom. Tonight. The curtains pulled back just enough to reveal her sleeping in her bed. My knees buckled. The phone slipped from my hands and hit the floor because the truth crashed down on me in that moment. It wasn't just about me anymore. He wanted all of us. The video played over and over in my head even after I shut my eyes. My sister, curled up in bed, her pink blanket pulled to her chin, the camera zooming in, steady despite the dark, the whisper of someone's breath behind the phone's microphone. The cops froze when they saw it. For the first time that night, their cocky calm cracked. One of them asked if he could keep my phone to download the video as evidence. I didn't want to let it go, but my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. They promised they'd look into it. That was the phrase, the exact same one people had used when I was 18, when I begged someone to believe me. Look into it, file it, push it around a desk until the ink faded. My dad was furious. He demanded a patrol car stay outside all night. The cops refused. We don't have the resources for that, one of them muttered. Then they left. Just like that. The house felt heavier after they were gone. My mom retreated to her room, locking the door behind her. My sister refused to sleep alone, curling up on the couch with every light in the living room blazing. My dad paced like a caged animal, muttering curses under his breath. And me? I sat at the kitchen table staring at the unlocked basement door. The memory of the chair wouldn't leave me. I kept seeing him there, waiting, listening, maybe smiling, maybe laughing to himself. My phone buzzed again. A new message. You shouldn't have told them. I dropped it like it burned me. My stomach churned. He knew. He was always watching. Somehow, he always knew. I pressed my palms to my face, tears hot and relentless. Why won't he stop? I whispered. My dad stopped pacing. He looked at me with something in his eyes I couldn't name. Fear, maybe, or guilt. He was right. For 15 years, this man had been untouchable. Untouchable because nobody wanted to get their hands dirty, because the burden was always mine to carry, because the silence was safer for everyone else. But it wasn't safe anymore. Not for me. Not for my sister. Not for any of us. Something in me shifted. I wasn't going to wait for him to strike again. I stood, shaky, but resolute. I'll stop him. My dad's eyes widened. What do you mean? I didn't answer. I just grabbed my coat and my keys. Where the hell are you going? To end this. He tried to block the door, but I shoved past him. Rage, terror, and adrenaline fused into something unbreakable. I couldn't sit here trembling, waiting for him to crawl through another window or slip through another unlocked door. If he wanted me, then fine. He'll get me, but on my terms. The cold night air slapped my face as I stepped outside. The street was quiet. Too quiet. And then I heard it. A slow clap. From the shadows across the street, a figure stepped forward. Hood up. Hands gloved. Phone in one hand. Something metallic glinting in the other. My breath hitched. My body locked. It was him. And he was smiling. For a second, I couldn't breathe. The street lamp flickered just enough to light his face. Older now, but unmistakable. The smirk. The eyes that had haunted my nightmares for 15 years. Hello, sweetheart, he drawled. My stomach heaved. My body screamed at me to run, but my feet wouldn't move. He stepped closer, dragging the metal object along the fence as he passed. It screeched against the wood. A knife. Long, serrated. Thought you could sick the cops on me? You should have kept quiet. You always were better when you kept quiet. Something in me snapped. No, I spat. My voice shook, but the word was out before I could stop it. He laughed, low and cruel. Oh, sweetheart, you don't get to decide that. Then he lunged. I screamed, swinging my arm wildly. My fist connected with his chest, but he barely staggered. His knife flashed onto the streetlight. Before he could strike, a roar exploded from behind me. Get away from my daughter! My dad barreled into him, tackling him hard onto the pavement. The knife clattered across the asphalt. They rolled, fists flying, grunts and curses filling the night air. Dad! I cried, scrambling toward the knife. My hands fumbled over the cold steel. He grabbed my dad from the throat, slamming his head against the ground. My dad choked, struggling for air. Without thinking, I raised the knife. My vision blurred with tears and rage, and I drove it down. Once. Twice. Over and over, screaming with every thrust. His blood sprayed across my arms, warm and sticky. His body jerked, then went still. Silence fell. My chest heaved. My dad coughed, rolling onto his side, clutching his throat. His eyes met mine, wide, horrified. My mom and sister burst out the front door, screaming when they saw the scene. My sister covered her face. My mom sobbed my name. The flashing red and blue lights of a patrol car finally turned onto our street. Too late. The officers leapt out, shouting commands, guns drawn. My dad raised his hands, shouting for them to stop, that it was over. But I couldn't hear them, couldn't see them. I stared down at his body, and that's when I saw it. The phone still clutched in his dead hand. The screen lit up. A live stream. Hundreds of comments scrolling by, laughing, cheering, begging for more. I slammed the phone shut, but it didn't matter. Because last night when I let Max out in the yard, I saw it. A small red light in the trees, blinking, watching. The stream isn't over. It never was.